Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's Community Corner with Assisted Living Locators. We're very excited for our guest today.
Today, we are fortunate to have the amazing Kathy Baldridge with us. I am not going to even bother to try to describe all of the things that our great friend Kathy does. We're going to let her go ahead and do it. So good morning, Kathy, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Christy and Glenn, and thank you for having me this morning. I've been in this business and the senior business and the older population business since 1981. And some of the services that I offer have been a la carte for so many years, and then I created them to be a cohesive business. So the first thing that I do is I am a national senior move manager. What that entails, that I meet the family, figure out where mom or dad is moving to, go to the apartment, do a floor plan, come back and downsize mom or dad, and then manage the trucks. The trucks will go to the community, and my staff will unpack and get mom or dad into the community that evening. So a one bedroom, about 500 to 600 square feet, we can get organized and have mom and dad sleeping there that night and having dinner at the community. So it's a seamless process. I have a number of movers that I use depending on where they're moving to. And so we make it home in their new environment. The second thing that I do is we all live in bigger homes and we're moving to smaller locations. So there's always going to be excess personal property or chattel, which is called in the business of real estate. And I do on-site estate sale services. So it usually happens that once we move mom or dad, we come back to the house with my staff. We turn the house into a store. I have a huge setup van. We set all the house up, everything, Tupperware, sheets, pillowcases, matching the sheets. We tie them with pretty ribbons. So when you walk into our homes, we're known for our setup. Everything has a price. I run credit card terminals, point of sale systems. So attorneys, estate attorneys love what I do because there's a paper trail on this estate, okay? And we run it over typically a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 9 to 3. If it's a larger estate, then we move out to Thursday. But I can tell you, most of the estates we can liquidate up to 3 days. Then everyone says, what's going to happen to the remainder of the items? Then I have connections with various charities in New Hampshire, and I arrange to have them all picked up, and we get a tax write-off for our client at that point. And everyone asks if I take it somewhere. I don't remove any personal property from the house itself. I don't have any stores. I don't have consignment centers. I'm strictly just selling the contents that weekend. Then the third thing that I do, once we get it all emptied, I am a senior real estate specialist with Keller Williams. I have been an agent 11 years and only have been a senior real estate specialist. This is my niche. This is where I stay. All my marketing dollars stay with the seniors and their families. I know how to handle trusts, certificates of appointment. If there is probate courts, wills, I know how to handle all of this because I've been doing it for so long. So I look at deeds when someone calls me and mom and dad, one has passed or maybe both have passed, who's in charge, right? And I know who's in charge by seeing the deed. If I see it's a revocable trust, then there has to be a trustee somewhere. So then I figure out who all this is, and then we go from there. So there's a lot of work selling a home. There's a lot of work selling their contents, and there's a lot of work moving them. So it's a package that works together, and I've been doing so since 1981. So I own lifetime estate liquidations and transitions, and my brokerage license is under Keller Williams Realty. We just had a new change now. Our name change is Keller Williams Gateway Realty. So the Nashua branch is now called that. The last thing that I do is that I give my time, and I serve on the State Commission on Aging, and I am the public service rep for that Commission on Aging. I've already served 3 years on the State Committee on Aging under Hassan and Executive Council. And then in July, the Committee on Aging was defunct, and now we have a State Commission on Aging that has an executive director that is overseeing this 43-member group that consists of Department of AG, Veteran Affairs, the Department of Health and Human Services, everybody that is in the state that has some dealings with seniors, or now that they're trying to say that seniors is not really the appropriate word right now. It's older population, or it's the aging population. And I think with COVID right now, they're starting to segregate the older population from the younger population, and we are all in this together, so every life matters, and we need to do what's best for everyone, not just for some. So I think that's what our last meeting in the commission is, that we need to quit stigmatizing the elderly with the word elderly, but older population is the correct term for that. So that's what I do.
And that's precisely why part of trying to introduce yourself. First and foremost, thank you for your service to the Committee and Commission on Aging. It's one of the ways that I connected with you initially, and it is a phenomenal group that we'll get into in a different video. So thank you for that. But even moving forward, I know I've expressed this to you, Kathy, and other people around the state. What I love about you is one call gets everything taken care of on the house side. So a lot of the families that we work with, their largest single asset is the home. Sometimes there's gold in those there hills. Sometimes there's not, with the possessions that are in there. And just a call to Kathy, make sure that those houses are dealt with, that property's dealt with, the family's respected. Your senior real estate specialist designation really helps you be able to relate to folks with all sorts of aging issues. So I'm glad that I didn't bother to try to describe that. And I think probably Christy learned a couple of things about it too, and I've been talking about it for a year. So the reason that we wanted to have you on today specifically was so that you could talk a little bit about those home values and what you're seeing in the market. As a real estate expert with a ton of expertise in this, I know, again, for a lot of the families we work with, their largest single asset is their home, and there's concern out there about what home values are going to do after we get through our pandemic. So if you wouldn't mind speaking a few minutes about that, that would be awesome.
Okay, so one thing I want to stress at the beginning of this is that everyone should have their affairs in order when it comes to real estate. Okay, if mortgages have been paid off, you want to make sure that you have a payoff copy of that, because now with mortgages being difficult to get, and with some people, that the less hurdles we have to go through, the better, right? So if it's in a trust, making sure that all the trust documents are together, making sure that the trustee has their papers so that we can move through the process seamlessly. In the last week, so at Keller Williams Realty, Gateway Realty, we have huddles. We have a huddle in the morning at 10 o'clock, and that's a brokerage huddle. We have a huddle at 4 o'clock, which all the agents come together and see what's happening out there, right? So yes, real estate has gone down, like everything else, right? But it is not at a stop. Okay, we are still selling homes. I've got some stats here that I pulled out. So these are just 6 days old. So in Rockingham County, that would be Londonderry, Derry, that area, 91 new listings started, okay? 38 of them went under contract and 81 closings.
Wow.
So that tells you that the market is moving, right? It's not at a standstill. In Hillsborough County, we have 114 listings, 61 under contract, and 75 closings. Now you'll start seeing a pattern here, okay? In Nashua, this was 6 days old, 23 listings, 9 contracts, 17 closings. And in Salem and Wyndham, or Wyndham, how everyone likes to pronounce it, it's 16 listings, 2 contracts, and 8 closings. So in the perfect world of real estate, we had showings, and you know, I'm a listing specialist, so the buyers would come with buyer agents, and they would look at numerous properties, right? Today's time, their buyers are there, and I require, and most agents are requiring this, that when a buyer is interested in a property in this COVID situation, that we request 2 things. One, that they send the listing agent a pre-qualification letter that that buyer can, in fact, buy that property. And 2, that they have actually seen the virtual tour. So I do a virtual tour that, as if you were, it's done by Matterport, Strivemore Productions does it, that you can be in the house and pressing like a little round circle and move with your mouse and be with inside the house. So it's not, we're asking that they see that, and then if they want to have an appointment, it's a one-on-one appointment. People who are actually going to the house, and COVID instructions now, are the people who are signing the contracts. Okay, so if you have a lot of children, agents are asking that mom comes in first, the children stay out of the house, and then dad comes in after mom. The agent is wearing a mask. The agent is using gloves. She has wipes, and those instructions are on every listing, especially if people are living in the home, okay? I just had a listing that it just happened to be, just God was smiling down on me, but I had a listing and we started moving early on that, and I had moved the family to the Hunt, and then managed all the contractors and got the tour up and running, and we were under contract in 4 days, and we actually closed May 8th. Now that house is vacant, so those are a little bit easier to show, but same instructions. They have to wipe, agents have to wipe off the lockbox when they walk in. The agents open all the doors with gloves. The buyer does not touch anything. So that's how we're handling real estate. Everyone is still working. We're all still working. Either we're taking online classes if you don't have listings that you're monitoring, or you have listings that are getting ready to come. So there's a lot of back work that we can do to be ready to hit the market. We believe the market is fine. It's going to come back. It's at a pause right now with the COVID situation, but it was not economical, right? So eventually it will come back. Your assets are still there. Buyers are not coming in thinking that to the seller that, hey, you're in COVID, I'm going to come in $50,000 under your asking price. That is not realistic and is not happening. The buyers understand what the situation is, and they are coming in near asking price or a little bit below, which is typical. What I have to say is that you have to have your job. You can't have your mortgage based on the stimulus package, so and the company and the mortgage companies are getting a lot more stringent on mortgages right now, but we're still closing them, as I showed you in the stats. So it's still moving. We will never close. We're 24/7. Real estate is. It's just, how do you want to handle your listing during this time? And I get it. I don't want people in my house. I personally am putting my house on the market next month, but I have another place to move to, and I'll move there with my COVID directions to the buyers and the buyer agents. But now's the time to sell it, because the supply and demand there is not enough inventory. So if you decide to sell your home, be assured you're probably going to sell it quickly, because there's not a lot up against you, right? It's not the typical spring market that we had last year where everybody said, I'm going to put my house up in spring market. Well, we're not going to have a spring market. We may have a summer or fall market, right? So if you want to get ahead of the game, that's what it's going to take. But understand that we are still in COVID-19. So we're trying to do our best. There are no open houses anywhere. And that's because of COVID. And the virtual tours, you don't need an open house. Everyone has these beautiful virtual tours. And I can tell you, I have yet to sell a home through an open house. So people can sit in their pajamas, go through the virtual tour at home, and then call their agent and have a one-on-one showing. So that's awesome. My take on that.
And one of the things that you and I have discussed with a particular client, as our stay-at-home orders continue to stretch on, and now it's looking like we might have some social distancing requirements even through the summer. Families that have loved ones at home that are safe are probably best leaving them there. But for those families that mom just simply is not going to be able to stay in the home until June, July, or August, and they need to make some sort of move now. Christy and I do have some communities that are still accepting some clients. How would someone connect with you and go through the process of getting mom's home listed so that they can convert that asset into being liquid for a placement? What would be the best way to get a hold of you, and then what would be the best way for the family to help you to get that home ready to sell?
Okay, so the best way to get a hold of me was call me, right? And I can walk you through it. But I think in that instance, what I would do, if they have a place to move to, let's just take someone right now, just if they have a place to move to, the best thing is to get mom moved, and don't worry about the personal property. Just take the things that mom needs and move with a family member, a friend, someone, and get them out of the house. It's a much easier to show the property without someone living there. Okay, that's the best thing. It's also safer for the senior and that family if she's not there or he's not there. So to get it out and then get the house sold. And if we have to sell personal property, hopefully it will open by then to do that, because auctioneers are not selling either. So, you know, that's one, probably the caveat of this whole thing is, what do we do with all this? Put it in a storage unit, and then that's a problem, right? Because we can't liquidate out a storage unit. So, but having said all that, we can also put terms on there. We can say, we can set a closing date, whatever that closing date is, you know. It's easier to do it. One thing good about this is that if you have it on the market and she's moved and with a family member, her asset, she has the funds once it sells. So when she's ready to go into wherever she's going, what assisted living or CCRC that she's going to, she has the funds to go with it, versus waiting to sell the house, going through all of that, and then doing it all at once. So it's less stressful if they can do that. If they can't do it, then we would have to go through the COVID-19 instructions, and we would really have to hone in on that when someone's living, especially if they have an immune deficiency or if they have any kind of underlying health problems. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I knew that I said that I'd ask you some other questions, but the honest answer is you did a really fantastic job of answering everything. And I think for folks that are at home that had a plan and COVID kind of interrupted that, this is going to be some phenomenal information to hear. From our standpoint, you know, it's phenomenal to hear that the market's expected to come back. A lot of value is tied up in those homes, and those are wonderful investments for family to be able to leverage. And it's awesome to be able to connect families with you and your services and your expertise. So, Kathy, we thank you for your time today. We will put a connection to your phone number and your link, your web address in the comments of the video if somebody wants to reach out to you. Great information, and thank you again for your time today.
If I could just say one thing, there are, when you put my website up, I have two websites, one for lifetime estate liquidations transitions. And if you go to the bottom of that, you can click on Keller Williams and then go to my real estate site. Why I'm telling you that is there's a lot of questions and answers on my website and a lot of references. A lot of people say, you know, how do people trust you? And the bottom line is they read my reference letters, and I don't hold a gun to people's heads and say, write that reference letter. That just comes naturally. And so it's, as my dad, if he were alive, he would say I was a good egg. So I'm a good egg.
You're an awesome one.
We agree with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love my job. I love taking care of the families. And if I can't take care of them, I'll tell them so. I am a straight shooter, but I am been in the business so long that, you know, it's not about money to me. It's about doing a good job. So, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Kathy. It was great to visit with you a little bit, and thank you for the information.
All right. Take
Nice
care,
to meet you.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.